So, for the summary, Equity is a 2016 financial thriller directed by Mira Menon. It follows the main character, Naomi Bishop, a seasoned senior investment banker striving to climb to the top of the corporate ladder. Throughout her journey, she will be tested with challenges faced by women in a male dominated industry. The movie delves into the high stakes world of Wall Street as Naomi pursues a huge deal with a data security company, Chechet. However, she becomes embroiled in a complicated web of power relations, betrayal, and corporate intrigue, prompting thoughts on the sacrifices required to achieve success in such a very competitive atmosphere.
So, why did we choose this movie specifically? So, the first is because of the theme. So, the theme of the movie is about a woman trying to become successful in a male dominated industry. We find it very interesting as it enlightens the viewers on the discrimination and the challenges faced by women in a very competitive corporate society. So, and the next is because we believe that the movie has a higher relevance to the assignment, especially to the project's chapter.
So, for the first difference of how men and women speaks is turn taking and interruption. Turn taking is a situation when one person speaks and the other listens. This situation is very crucial when it comes to effectively participating and interacting with others. Turn taking also can be divided into two types of interruption. The first one is disruptive interruption, and the second one is supportive interruption. So, for the first scene of turn taking and interruption, turn taking can be seen when Naomi and Erin take turns to speak in the whole conversation. As you can see in the script, Erin and Naomi take turns to speak about their proposal of selling 34 to 36 share of Sachet company. So, turn taking can be clearly seen when Naomi speaks and Erin listen carefully, and vice versa. So, for the interruption part, it can be divided into two. So, for the first one is disruptive interruption. Disruptive interruption is one person restricts the contribution of the interrupted speaker, and the second one is supportive speaker. This one occurs when one people encourage the speaker to keep the conversation going on. So men interrupt more than women disruptively because they want to like dominate and give themselves authority, while women interrupt more than men supportively because they consider feelings and are more sensitive than men. So for the scene of interruption, disruptive interruption can be seen when Ed is not satisfied with the suggestions of selling 34 to 36 shares of their company, Chachit. But Naomi said that they already looked at the comparable of Chachet. But Ed then said that Naomi is the one who begged Ian and him to accept her suggestions, but Naomi tended to argue and said that she does not actually remember begging to Ian and Ed. So Ed tends to restrict what Naomi said, and Ed also wants to dominate the meeting because disruptive interruption is more occur to men compared to women. So, moving on to the second aspect of the difference between how men and women speak is minimal response. So, what is minimal response? Minimal response is when a monosyllabic utterance such as yes and huh are associated with cooperative language. Minimal response are used mainly to show agreement. So one person, basically when one person agrees to the others, they will use minimal response. In addition of that, body gestures can also be included in the minimal response, such as head nodding when you are agreeing to someone. So for the scene of minimal response can be seen when Naomi agreed with Ed's statement of Chachit's network security system, since she replied to Ed with right only, and also okay. Ed then continued to promise Naomi that he can guarantee that Cachette has never been hacked due to a strong security system, and Naomi felt very convinced with Ed's statement and she only responded okay. So these types of responses are used by Naomi to show agreement to what Ed said.
So the next is hedging. So hedging are words or sentences used in order to soften the consequences of a sentence to be made. So the reason is to avoid conflicts or responsibilities resulting from the sentences. This includes words such as I could be wrong, or I guess, or maybe, or almost. So in the first scene, we see Naomi engaging with a conversation with Ed in a fancy restaurant. There, she talks about the IPO for Catch It, and she reveals her true intention of meeting him when she talks to Ed about a rumor that says that his company is not unhackable as he claimed, and she shares her worries about this as it could affect the project. So in this scene, the hedges used were probably and might. So when Naomi used probably, she meant it to avoid any conflicts or discord. She emphasizes that this is not a big deal and she and Ed should not worry too much about it. And the next is when Naomi uses might when trying to say that his Catchit company might be vulnerable to hacking. This is to make the sentence less offensive and decrease the gravity of her claim that Catchit is hackable. So in the second scene that contains hedging, we can see Sam, who is a prosecutor working as a US attorney, attempting to fish out information from Corey about a case she is currently investigating. She approaches Corey at the club after he finished a meeting with his clients, and she acted drunk when attempting to initiate engagement and flirted with him and made him flustered in order for her to be more comfortable with him and able to get more information and extract information from him. So when Sam was initiating a conversation with Ed, she tried to lie by saying that they have met before and they have engaged in a conversation before. Later, they introduced themselves, and Sam said that, "Have you met before?" This, and which Ed quickly replies with, "I think so." So I think so is the hedging used in this scene, and it indicates uncertainty towards his answer. By indicating his uncertainty, he is able to avoid any responsibility or consequences should Sam said that his answer was false and they have not met before. By doing so, he has created an escape route in case anything goes wrong with the conversation. So the next element is giving compliments. So we all know what compliments are. Compliments are generally polite remarks or approve or admire their when in corporate setting, the purpose goes further than that. It is usually used to assist them in achieving their goals. So, for the first scene of giving compliments, we can see Naomi going to a golf course to meet her old acquaintance and former boss, John. She went to visit John because she needed advice from her old mentor on the IPO project with Catchit, and also she needed advice on her worries and doubts about the project. So, in this scene, John invited Naomi to golf, but Naomi rejected him, saying that she's not wearing the appropriate outfit. In the scene, Naomi complimented John by implying how wealthy he is by saying, "Huh, well, you can take care of that. You own the place," which means, John, you can bend the rules about close to golf as you own the place. She complimented John too for two reasons. The first is to improve their close rapport and also relationship. Because by giving compliments, you're making them feel good and making them more happy. Thus, you can increase your relationship with them. And the next reason is to put herself in a more favorable position with John. By doing so, it can make John more willing to help her in her problems and more motivated to advise her in her problems. For the second scene in giving compliments, after Naomi and Aaron's successful meeting in convincing Catchet to accept their IPO proposal, they and the whole team went to a fancy restaurant to celebrate their success. When they were toasting to their success, they were surprised to see Randall, their boss, approaching them. Randall, after approaching, congratulated the team on their success and complimented their great work. In this scene, the element of giving compliment is more direct and visible. We see Randall complimenting Naomi's team for their successful business pitch to catch it by saying great work to everyone. This is to acknowledge their efforts and achievement in acquiring a huge project for the company. By doing so, Randall can boost the morale of Naomi's team and also increase their motivation to ensure that the project is successful.
Asking questions. There are a variety of reasons to ask questions, such as learning more, getting clarification, or expressing curiosity. But the three primary ones are to challenge, show skepticism, and offer support to the speaker. Depending on the speaker's focus, a person's questioning purpose differs. Intriguingly, all three studies reveal that questions were directed more at female speakers than at male speakers. This is stated by Stacy Kim in 2017. It shows that female ask more questions than male, but it is usually in terms of showing the support to the speaker. For scene one, in asking questions, in this particular scene, Samantha, who is a prosecutor, is in pursuit of the Titanite company, which happens to be Michael's clients. Of course, the relationship or the details between Michael and his client is confidential, and the business between them cannot be revealed to other person, even though the one who asked is a prosecutor. Samantha kept on pressuring Michael to get the answer she wanted by saying things like Titanite company always got a loophole, so a guy like Michael who is working at the Big Bang may take the fall. By saying things like this, Michael furious even though he is smiling. So in this scene, it is clearly show the intention of Michael that he is challenging the speaker, which is Samantha, by asking her the question like, "You have nothing on me, do you? And why don't you call me when you have just a little bit more leverage?" Michael shows his dominant character to ask Samantha to gather the information first before encountering him. For Michael, if Samantha does not have any proof that he is involved in this case, there is no way he will speak to Samantha about his client. So, for apologizing, a person who acknowledges and takes responsibility for a mistake, offense, or wrongdoing makes a statement or expresses regret. An apology is an expression of regret, remorse, or sadness for one's actions, along with a request for pardon or reconciliation. Apologies are an essential component of social interactions and interpersonal communication and can be expressed via speech, in writing, or through actions. So there are four factors in apologizing. That is that is power relationship, gender relationship, social relationship, and seriousness of the offense. So for scene one in apologizing, in this scene, Samantha is a prosecutor or investigator from the Attorney General's office whose job is focusing on uncovering any illegal activities or ethical breaches within the company. Corey is working at the company named Titanite, and Samantha is trying to pursue any details about the company which is related to sabotaging a company which makes Joe investor lose 65% of his retirement fund. Samantha is trying to approach him by flirting, and Corey takes the bait. He is interested in the conversation, and when Samantha talks about the drug and her mother also has the disease from the drug, Corey sympathizes her. Yes, Corey sympathizes her. Given that situation, Korea's apology could be seen as an admission of the emotional impact of the information that was revealed regarding Samantha's mother's condition. When Corey consciously or unknowingly can relate to Samantha's personal struggle, it is a bonding moment. In this instance, saying sorry is more than just expressing regret. It also serves as a hidden signal of empathy that strengthens the character's relationship. For scene 2 in Apologizing, in this scene, Michael is a venture capitalist and Erin is an investment banker. So Naomi is Erin's boss and Michael is the boyfriend of Naomi. The reason Naomi shows up at Michael's place was to look for her boss, which is Naomi. This event turns into an interesting one when actually Michael has his own agenda. Erin said to Michael, "You seem to think I'm going to give you information about my IPO." Michael knows that Eric is waiting for promotion from Naomi, and he said to Erin that at the company he is working for right now, there are a lot of people that respect his opinion, meaning that he has a power in that company and can give Erin anything she wants in return for the information about the IPO. So actually, in this scene, before Erin entered the house, she said sorry 2 times in this scene because she doesn't want to bother him, considering her true intention is to meet her boss, which is Naomi. This shows that women easily apologize, even though the other side, which is Michael, already said that she doesn't bother him at all. At all. In this situation, it is related to the factor of the power relation, as Michael is the boyfriend of her boss. It shows that power really puts the factor to the person to apologize easily. It also could be the factor of social distance, as Erin and Michael are not close in relation, but she easily apologized for her action. So, for the conclusion, the complex of communication between men and women incorporates a variety of styles formed by personal preferences, cultural influences, and society norms. The complexity of gendered communication dynamics is reflected in the 6 characteristics of turn taking and interaction: minimal responses, using hedges, offering compliments, asking questions, and apologizing. Men can be dominant in certain situations, especially when it comes to taking turns, interrupting others, and giving brief answers. But it is important to understand that communication styles differ greatly depending on the situation. Although men tend to be more dominant in situations that fit with traditional expectations, women are just as capable of effectively expressing their communication styles. The communication preferences tend towards women in many ways. Women's communication styles are often characterized by their empathy, their use of hedges to express sensitivity, and their skill handling of compliments, questions, and apologies. These tendencies are consistent with modern ideas that place a strong emphasis on inclusivity, teamwork, and emotional intelligence in communication.